Banshees and Gentle Ghouls, thank you all so much for sticking around with me this past year. While I'm not really a big channel, I'm still glad to have gotten as much audience as I do. And now, I'm up to answer some of the questions you all got for me. So, how about we unwrap this box and have a look at what's inside? What's your favorite video game genre? That's a bit of a tough nut to crack because my tastes tend to be pretty open nowadays with trying out many different types of games. But if I do have to pick one, I'd go with action-based JRPG. I just love seeing the turn-based RPG format got renovated into a more interactive style gameplay that makes them much more engaging and exciting to play. My favorites of the genre include the Mario and Luigi series, the Mega Man Battle Network series, and why not, let's throw Pokemon Mystery Dungeon into the mix. That said, I also have the Kingdom Hearts collection, but I still need to get around playing that. Please don't hate me, Josh. Which cliches do you enjoy and which do you dislike? While I can't think of a particular cliche that I thoroughly enjoy, I will say that I'm all for the trend of games nowadays poking fun at a lot of the standard story and game cliches. Ironically, that on its own became a cliche. Sometimes it is done pretentiously, but the ones that handle it well usually turn out pretty charming. As for cliches I don't like, well, I could go on about that one. Pace-breaking tutorials, missed rates in RPG, high damage penalties, so on and so on. I don't have a definitive least favorite, but those are definitely pretty high on the list. Have you played any games in the Ace Combat, Need for Speed, or Neptunia franchises? I have not. There's a decent amount of games in my backlog that I still need to play, and I don't want to overwhelm myself. Someday I might try those games, but chances aren't high. You ever heard of a series called Skylanders? I have. Not that interested in it, but it looks neat at least. Which classic Mega Man is your favorite and least favorite? Classic Mega Man is a series I like more for its content rather than gameplay. If I do have to pick a favorite, I'd go with 7. I know that's not a popular opinion, but it is the one that I had the most fun with. As for least favorite, that will be the original. While it did set a foundation for the whole franchise, a lot of its design choices do not age well whatsoever. Looking at you guys, man. How old are you? Where are you from? And do you know any other languages besides English? Tahun ni saya naik umur 24 dan saya berketurunan Malaysia, jadi saya pun boleh cakap bahasa Melayu. Tapi sebab ramai kawan saya duduk luar negara, saya pun dah terbiasa cakap bahasa Inggeris. Won't you be down with doing a co-op countdown with me? I have a policy when it comes to collabs. I prefer to collaborate with people that I know well enough and trust as someone who can faithfully put out a good workflow. I've had to deal with multiple project mismanagements from old acquaintances in the past, and I prefer to not get too carefree about it anymore. Sorry pal, but I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. I've seen your crossover with Josh Scorcher and the Quarter Guy. Is there anyone else you've had thoughts of crossing with, like say Wambu or Fuffle's Minion? That depends. I do share a group with some big names of the community, but I'm not gonna ask them to collab if I don't have an idea of what topic I wanna share with them. It also depends on if they're interested as well, so while I think it'd be fun, it's best if I don't put any unneeded pressure on them. Do you prefer top 10s or reviews? And I mean to watch rather than actually do. When it comes to doing, I prefer countdown since most people come to my channel for that. But when it comes to videos I prefer to watch, I'm more into reviews. I guess it is the content most gaming channels make nowadays, and I'm just weirdly into these reviews whether I'm familiar with the subject matter or not. If the latter, it means I get to learn something new, which can be pretty fun. I do watch countdowns now and then, but not as much as I used to anymore. Especially since I practically work with a guy who makes them for a living now. Kind of a no-brainer I'd have his content drilled into my exoskull. Why did you choose a spider for the basis of your character design? Because spiders are fantastic and criminally underrated. Despite how often you see them, they're usually there to be hated and not to be admired. I, for one, don't succumb to that behavior. Most of the time. Will the Fire Emblem support countdown be of interest to you? Why yes, actually. I plan on covering Fire Emblem supports in the future, alongside plenty of other Fire Emblem content that I plan to deliver alongside it. We'll get to that when the time is right. What's your favorite Fire Emblem ship? Mozu and Takumi! Have you played Final Fantasy, and if so, what's your favorite game from it? I have seen reviews and playthroughs of the Final Fantasy games, but I have yet to actually play them myself. Though I did twiddle around with RPG makers a lot, which by essence are Final Fantasy simulators, so I guess that counts? If I do have to choose the ones I'm most interested in, that will be 6, 9, and the remake of 7. I do plan on actually playing through this series someday, but it's not a priority at the moment. What are your favorite music genres excluding game soundtracks? My taste for music is pretty open, so I find myself shifting favorites from time to time. Recently, I've been particularly into gothic rock, aka the stuff you typically see Aurelio Voltaire puts up. Really cool guy, by the way. Still really salty I didn't get to meet him when he came here though. Also, what are your favorite video game soundtracks, licensed or original? I got quite a few to list down for that. Mario Odyssey has a phenomenal collection of music of diverse themes and genres. Undertale's got some of the best selection of digital music I've ever heard. Cuphead's take on club-style classical music is a ton of fun. And Oogie's Revenge's got some pretty sick remixes of the songs from Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, it's saying something when it has a rendition of Sally's song that I actually like listening to. Why do you commit necromancy? That's probably illegal. This here is my estate, so I make the rules around here. And the law here dictates that necromancy is legal. As long as I'm the one who does it. Why are you bullying X7? I mean, who doesn't? Who is your favorite video game character that you can mostly relate to? Now that's a sensitive subject. I usually pick my favorite characters based on the qualities I like seeing in others, but not so much myself. But if I do have to pick a character that I admire and personally connect with, I settle on a particularly powerful man. Herman Crab from Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. I relate to him as an introvert who's more interested in the studies of animals and technology over socializing with others. Despite that, he never came across as mean-spirited. His stressful attitude is just to the degree where it's easy to understand what he's handling on his plate. Hell, he even saved an orca from being drugged to death. Honoring his best friend's wish to protect the aquarium he works in really shows that he's no deadbeat and is actually a dependable badass despite how passive-aggressive he can be. Extremely relatable, and bears qualities that I aspire to follow. What more could you ask for in a character? What kind of game do you want to make? Woo boy, and I thought no one would ask. Without getting into too much detail, let's just say that the game I'm making is a top-down adventure game in a style reminiscent of something like Zelda Minish Cap, with the aesthetic of gothic fantasy. A few side games it features include tower defense and stealth segments that I try to not make seem too punishing or drawn out, so you know, it'll actually be fun to play through. That's about as much as I will share for now. If production goes well, I might share more of what I got in store. And that's all the questions we got for today. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope this has been a decent experience for most of you. And perhaps you even got to learn a thing or two from me that you either like or, you know, scorn. See you all next time when I finally figure out what I'm gonna talk about next.